Well, I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds. It's great to be here at the Atlantic Canadian Aerospace and Defense Association Maritime Arctic Safety and Security Show. Great conversations are happening. Thank you to our good friends at the Ship Stop Here initiative for bringing this entire conversation to life. And on that note, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
Okay, I'm Buxton from Vard Marine. I'm the Vice President of Business Development. Vard Marine is a naval architecture consultancy, ship design company. We've been in business here in Canada now over 42 years, headquartered in Vancouver, and I run the Ottawa office.
Right.
Yep.
So what are some of the big conversations Vard is in right now?
Well, I mean, the whole focus on the Arctic and Arctic security is a key discussion for us. We were born back in 1983 as a joint venture between a Finnish and a Canadian company, set up specifically and in the first instance to chase the icebreaker work. In the day that was the Polar 8 program, which was subsequently cancelled, but also a lot of the commercial work that was centered around the oil and gas exploration in the Beaufort Sea. And so we're one of a few companies internationally that has the pedigree, if you will, for designing specialty ships. Icebreakers are specialty ships, and it's something that we've been doing now for over 42 years. Recent examples: the Royal Canadian Navy and Coast Guard Arctic Offshore Patrol Vessel is based on a design that we delivered to the Canadian Navy. And the Polar Icebreaker, similarly a design that we delivered to the Canadian Coast Guard. And so not only do we have contemporary experience, but it's been part of our history dated back many years.
A lot of talk about defense spending, a lot of talk about that now. Give me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think everybody is correct in their assessment that we're in a hinge moment and that we're going to see a reinvigoration, if you will, of the Canadian Armed Forces and defense spending in Canada. It's clear that it was a ballot box issue in this last federal election. And I think, there's a need to cut back red tape and get, rubber to the road, so to speak, with defense procurement, try to curtail the long procurement timelines that we have been encumbered with over time. And I think, alongside that, with the focus on the Arctic, there's a lot of potential. The other aspect too, and Coast Guard has been our biggest government customer over the years, and the now realignment of the Coast Guard with a legitimate security mandate and moving into D&D is going to, I think, be a big boost as well. And so an expanded security mandate for them in Arctic surveillance and domain awareness, perhaps in the north. Speaks to a continuous demand signal in terms of new ships and new equipment on those ships to fulfill those roles.
Vard, a big part of Team Vigilance. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, Team Vigilance is something that we launched back in May of 2023 at CANSEC. It, at the time, was our offer to replace the Maritime coastal defense vessels, the Kingston class. At the time, it was known as the OPV project. It's gone through several incarnations. I think what we did back in 2023 kind of catalyzed the discussion about the need to replace the Kingston class. I mean, intuitively, everybody knew that there was a need there, but it's a bandwidth issue, and so everybody was focused on AOPV, JSS, River-class destroyers, and then the next priority, obviously, submarines. So I think we've catalyzed that discussion. The Navy's requirements have gone through several sort of iterations, if you will, and I think they've landed now. It was renamed OPV to Multi-Mission Corvette to Continental Defense Corvette. And so one of the benefits we have as a ship design company, where we design 15 to 20 plus ships every year, is our agility and our ability to adapt. And so we like to not pitch our designs as proven designs, although they are, in fact, proven designs. We like to pitch ourselves as proven designers,
right,
with experience in this list of ships. And because we recognize that every individual operator, Navy or Coast Guard around the world, has a very unique set of requirements. And so if you're buying somebody else's design, you're in a situation where you have to change it to meet your needs, And that's the worst possible outcome, as we've seen some of the delays on some of the contemporary programs, because it's a completed design that then is subject to change. And so the path of least resistance is always to start with a baseline design or start from a blank sheet of paper and tailor it to meet the unique needs. And so that's given us the ability to pivot and iterate our offering as the Navy's requirements have evolved. And so we're quite excited by what we've assembled in terms of the team on Team Vigilance. 5 core partners, but a supporting cast, in total now 29 companies. And people knocking on the door every day to join. Yeah, and so it's good. And so we have another dozen or so companies that we're in discussions with. Our ambition with the program is to sort of harken back to when you and I were in the Navy, back in the 1990s, where we had a level of national ambition in delivering the Canadian Patrol Frigate program. Not only did we create a ship that was designed and built in Canada that was world class, there were many companies and product lines that were born out of the CPF program that have had huge success internationally. When we buy designs offshore, they oftentimes come with established supply chains, and therefore we're not giving the Canadian industry the full benefit of the tax dollar expenditure. So we want this to be a homegrown, designed in Canada, built in Canada, equipped in Canada, and then from that see continued success for all of our partner companies.
You must already see incredible collaboration between the team, just even before Vigilance is realized.
Yeah, exactly.
Just the team itself.
Yeah, there's a couple of really notable examples, and one of them, which I know you're aware of, is a company from Denmark called SH Defense. As a result of the relationships through Team Vigilance, they've signed an agreement with DEW Engineering to be the local marketing and manufacturing supplier for their cube system. And another member of the Team Vigilance is Blue Metric, who do water making. And now we see SH Defense, Blue Metric, and DEW working together and bidding other contracts in the land domain, as an example. And so those relationships were all sort of curated, if you will, because of the affiliations for Team Vigilance.
It's a fantastic initiative. A MASS 2025, tell me what you're thinking about this.
I think it's a great, we come routinely, we sponsored to sort of keep our name in the forefront of everybody's thinking, because we do have that pedigree with icebreakers. We are the North American icebreaker experts. In fact, the world's 2 most contemporary icebreaker deliveries were designed by Vard. And so the Chilean icebreaker, which actually won Icebreaker of the Year in 2024, was delivered in last December. And then, of course, the AOPV, which is ongoing, I think, with number 6 for the Navy, due to be delivered next month. So, so this is an important conference for us. And it's important because we see the discussion around Arctic sovereignty, and Arctic sovereignty, first and foremost, is about presence. It's about delivering programs. It's about serving the local communities. And the best way to do that, many of those programs are delivered by the Coast Guard from icebreaking vessels. So, yeah.
Derek, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Very much enjoy your perspective. I have to tell you, I know that people understand Team Vigilance and things like that, but you're a big driver in the background of that. I know this to be true. You're sort of that steady hand on the tiller, taking Vigilance in the path, so well done for that. I'm sure those companies that are seeing success outside of that, just by the collaboration, are very thankful for you bringing everybody to the table. Thanks very much for being on the show. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.